Hey folks, how's it going this afternoon? Jerry here. We're just going to talk a little bit this afternoon about our fictitious government that we have and our fictitious money that we have too, okay? Here you can see a picture of George Washington, and he's laying the cornerstone here, folks, from the Greater Lodge of Maryland that he belonged to, of His Majesty's Lodge. And, folks, this whole thing throughout history, it's just been a big illusion, it's all it's been. I mean, we've talked before about the whole thing about Jacques de Molay, folks, and if you want to, I've got a video, actually, that's, it's in my playlist about the origin of democracy and Jacques de Molay. You can scroll down and see that video if you want to. I'll tell you all about it right there. You can do it too. That's the video. You can do it too. But anyway, right here's your founding father, folks, of democracy, okay? But the illusion of democracy, anyway, democracy made by de Molay, okay? This is the last notable Grand Master of the Knights Templars, folks. You know, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth primogenitor sons of the aristocracy that had no inheritance. And they founded their own kingdom eventually in Switzerland. So, they're the ones who financed the little twitchy man, too. But anyway, let's move on here. And here's a picture of Harry S. Truman here, folks, all decked out in his Freemasonic apron right here of Her Majesty's Grand Lodge here of Masonry. And, folks, they've all been part of this organization. They've all been part of it. It's every single one of them in some shape, form, or fashion. Now, they started hiding it a little bit here toward the end, they say, well, Clinton, he's part of de Molay, but we never could actually catch him in this whole thing. And you couldn't hardly catch Trump, even though Trump's mentor was the 33rd degree. And so, they've all been part of the lodge, folks. The Queen is running this country out of the lodges, folks, okay? There's two. I want to add something to this video a little bit here, guys. Trump is a descendant of Scott the Cruel, okay? Biden, he's a descendant of the Button family, which are rich landowners of the aristocracy. It's all one big family, folks. But enjoy the video. There's actually three entities involved in this whole thing, in case you didn't know. You've got the Bank of England, and you've got the so-called Windsor family, a.k.a. the Saxe-Coburg-Golgotha bloodline. You have that, and you have the Church of Rome. There's where all your monies went to, basically. A lot. And then you have the Federal Reserve Banknote in Switzerland. In Swissyland, home of the Knights Templars, where all the money is, the Ashkenazis. And so, you got three different entities there. The primogenitors, the non-primogenitors, and the house of the ecclesiastical priest of Amun are the ones that are running this country, okay? It's about hilarious. I mean, I had somebody the other day, they asked me, they said, Jerry, are you a Democrat or a Republican? I said, I don't want to talk about fiction. What do you mean? What are you talking about, fiction? Are you a Democrat or a Republican? Do you want the rise of Trump to come back up again, or do you want Biden, to keep on doing what he's doing? And again, I tried to tell him, I said, listen, I don't talk about fiction. Now, if you want to talk about reality, we can talk about reality here, but I don't talk about fiction. Folks, democracy is nothing but a podium for the commoners. It's a podium for the ignorant, okay? And people who talk about it and have this illusion of freedom, they're ignorant themselves. You take one of my situations, for instance. I was thrown in jail in Florida for 8.5 months and given no bail. I have appealed to the civil rights societies. I've appealed to lawyers to try to take the case on it just to see if I could do it or not. Nobody will take the case, folks. Here's what they say. Well, we're part of the Policemen's Association, or we're part of the Government Entity Association. No, what they really mean to tell me is this. We're not going to sue our brethren in the lodge. That's what they mean. So you see, folks, my whole situation down in Florida within itself should tell you that democracy is nothing but an illusion. Here I was supposed to, under American government rights, I was supposed to be given bail. Even people who kill people were given bail, and my whole situation was nothing. I mean, there was no grounds for anything. There was no pictures. There was nothing. They threw me out in the streets homeless 8.5 months later, guys. And I can't get anybody to even take the case. Why? Because they're all part of the lodge. I mean, folks, the one thing that I can say, I'm glad at least my mind is not broken anymore. You know, I've had a lot of people tell me, Jerry, you just don't think right. You don't think the way that most people do and stuff. Your mind is broken. You've got some type of mental situation. No, I don't. Folks, I don't have no mental problem. It's the people around me that has a mental problem. And I don't care if it's every single person around me. If you think that this country is still a democracy, you're living in a fictitious Candyland, folks. Okay? If you think that Her Majesty's not ruling the food supply, if you think Her Majesty's not running the transportation industry, if you think Her Majesty's not running the private jail cells and the private police that's in this nation, she's running every aspect of it, folks. She runs the whole thing. Her and the Rothschilds own everything that there is in this country. They even own you. I done one video on my old channel that was talking about the birth certificates. A certificate, folks, is a copy. Where's your birth document? Go try to find your birth document and you come back and tell me where it's at. That's the one that has the legal sway over your person or vessel, folks. I done a good extensive video on that on my other channel. I don't know if you guys have ever saw it or not. But where's your birth document? If you're free, you should be able to obtain your birth document. If you can't own yourself, what do you have, folks? And so, this brings me to another subject to tie right on in with this. We're talking about our money in this country. The Federal Reserve Banknote. The Federal Reserve Banknote, folks, is not owned by anybody in the United States. The Federal Reserve Banknote is owned by the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and other said entities of the bankers of the Ashkenazis in Switzerland, okay? It's owned by them, folks. It's not owned by us. Just because it says federal on it, that doesn't mean anything. It's a big deception that somebody's like, well, okay, it's American dollar. No. It's an illusion, folks. Like anything else. And I want to tell you something that you guys, many of you don't know. When you're talking about the coins that's in your pocket, like your nickels, your dimes, your quarters, or whatever, you're talking about coins that has the value of the precious metal in it that actually backs up what it is. Now that goes into a different aspect when you start talking about paper money. When you talk about paper money, you're talking about a situation where that paper money is worthless as a said object within itself. It's not like the coins that you have in your pocket. It has to be backed up by a certain amount of guarantee of gold that's supposed to be in Fort Knox. It's a certificate that has a guaranteer of it, and the guaranteer of it is saying this is worth this. because this much gold backs this paper dollar up. And this paper dollar is backed up by this gold that is in Fort Knox. Folks, there's not been any gold in Fort Knox in years and decades. We're broke, folks. As hard as everybody has worked in this country, and as many taxes as everybody has paid, and they say that we're trillions of dollars in debt, and they also say that there's no money at all in Fort Knox. Who has misappropriated these funds? Who has stolen these funds, folks? And it just goes to show you, this, just like this entity that we have right here that's on this $1 bill, this is not the true seal of God, folks. This is the imposter. This is the created being. This is not the creator on the back of this thing. Not the creator, it's a created being that wants to be the creator. And in this Horus matrix you live in, you're always going to be a slave to him, folks. You know, folks, I've woke up. I've woke up big time. It's time for the rest of you to wake up and quit living in this illusion that you're living in. Now, I've got a good video that I'm going to show you this afternoon to go along with this. It's Romney that has the Justinian Deception channel, and he come up with a new video this afternoon called The Fictitious Government. And so I'm going to let you see that video, and Romney has taught me a lot, guys. He's taught me a lot about the Latin and Greek languages. He's taught me a lot about how grammatical things that's inside these languages and stuff mean certain things and so forth. And I would actually encourage you, his Justinian Deception, I would encourage you to investigate his channel, son. It's very interesting. By the way, his partner's in jail right now that helps him with the channel. And I would say before it's all said and done, folks, every one of us in the know, we're all going to be in jail before it's over with. But just remember what Jesus said, folks. Before they persecuted you, they persecuted me. And it's coming, guys. Because I refuse to live in the devil's matrix anymore. And I choose to live in reality. God bless you this afternoon and enjoy the video.
in English. Okay, yes it is. It's written in English right there. No, it's not. It's not written in English, and it's not written in American Sign Language, and it's not written in Latin. Because when you're using American Sign Language, which is the all uppercase text like this, it follows the grammatical rules of Latin. It does not follow the grammatical rules of English. And then when you're writing in proper upper and lowercase text, because two or more all uppercase letters or hieroglyphic letters does not appear in any form of the English language. It's no part of English. But this note contains no English whatsoever. Anywhere. But it also contains no Latin. It contains a thing called debased Latin. The language on this is debased, or it's also called dog Latin in the Black's Law Dictionary. But dog Latin in the normal dictionary is debased Latin, which is Latin constructed under the grammatical rules of English, which is a no. It can't be done. But they do it. And what they've done with this is they've created a complete and utter fiction, a fictitious note, a form of a counterfeit, something that's not real. But if you believe it's real, then it's real. It's just like the notes on Monopoly money on the board, the game board Monopoly. Those notes in that game are the notes that relate within the rules of that game. And this is the same. This is a game that they play. This is the US Federal Reserve game. They created this whole thing. I think it's the Rothschild banking thing, probably to do with the Vatican. They've created a complete internal system that is completely and utterly fictitious, debauched, deranged, criminal. Every word, every foul word you could think of is related to the word debased. So, is the God that they worship on this, in God we trust, if this is an illusion, and if Lucifer is the illusion God, the God of the illusions, then is Lucifer or Baphomet or Baal, Satan, is that the God that they're talking about in this note? And if you are a part of any of its subdivisions, such as the Commonwealth of Australia Bank or the Commonwealth of Australia Company, State of Queensland Company, State of Victoria, State of New South Wales, State of Western Australia, if you are a part of any of those states that are not really states at all, they are simply subdivision companies of the US Federal Reserve that worships Baal or Baphomet or Satan. And you got to remember that Satan is Saturn. It comes from the god Saturn, the old Greek or Roman god Saturn. Saturn is now Rome. And in 1973, Whitlam signed the Unitory Treaty of Rome, the Unitory Treaty of Saturn, the Unitory Treaty of Satan. And it's telling you everything here on this note. But because we've been so indoctrinated and we start to read all the writing that's on this note, this sign language, these hieroglyphs, these Egyptian hieroglyphs, we're reading them as English, and we're reading them as if the type on this is English. We're using the grammatical rules of English in order to try and make sense of this note. This is where the term presumption of law comes from, because the government is a complete fiction. It derives from no fact, no grammatical fact. Nothing makes sense grammatically. Hence the term presumption of law, because because there is no fact of law appearing. But it really sensibly does not make sense at all. Sensibly it doesn't make sense because it's a complete, it's a scam, it's a trick, it's a trap to trap you into a society other than the real society where you are linked to your birthright and the mineral and energy wealth of your lands are there. And because you've been removed from that society and placed into this society, that they have gone in behind your back and taken your real dominion, which is the real authority to your lands, the real lands that you were born on, not these fictitious countries or these fictitious states. And through the grammatical inability that you've got, you haven't been able to see that this is what it is. This is not real money. This is a fictitious note, and it's telling you on the note and on these Satan worshippers that created this stuff, it's sort of telling you that it's fake.